Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Geek Report. This episode will cover all the geek news for the weeks of February 23rd, 2026 through March 9th, 2026. Now, let's get started with the geek news that dropped over the past 2 weeks.
Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing good. Hope you all are doing happy, doing blessed, doing safe, doing well. Welcome to your Geek Report for the weeks of February the 23rd through March 9th of 2026. We got a few news items to talk about, so let's get started. So first off, we're going to start off in our movie and TV segment, where we've got a few news items to talk about. The first is the newest trailer for The Mandaloran and Grogu from Star Wars. This trailer is loads better than the Super Bowl trailer we got. We took a look at the trailer and I gave you some overall thoughts and opinions on this trailer. The next trailer we took a look at was the new trailer for Lanterns. This is the DC series that's going to focus on the Green Lantern Corps, specifically Hal Jordan and John Stewart. This trailer was very confusing for me, and I really still don't know how I feel about it. I know I didn't like it. It didn't get me hyped for the series. So in that aspect, it failed. But we took a look at the trailer, and I just told you overall what I thought about it. And this is from someone who is not a Green Lantern character fan or anything like that. Okay. And then we end the movie and TV segment on some bad news. Bruce Campbell has announced that he has cancer. Now, Bruce Campbell has been in many different films that I absolutely love, like Army of Darkness, Ash versus the Evil Dead. He starred in the TV series Burn Notice. I mean, he's been in a lot of shows and movies that fans absolutely love him in, and he's got a pretty decent fan base. So hearing he has cancer is kind of a gut punch. Okay. But I'm going to show you the announcement and I'll talk to y'all about it for a few minutes. Then we moved on into our anime segment. And an anime that came out a while back called Gate, thus the JSDFs fought there, is getting a sequel called Gate 2 Tides of Conflict. We took a look at the trailer and I just basically tell you what I think about it. Okay. I basically give you my overall impressions of it. Then the final story we look at is coming from our gaming news segment, and that is that Sword Art Online is getting a new game called Echoes of Aincrad. We took a look at it, and I basically told you what I thought of it, and overall why I'm excited for this game. One of the first times I've been excited for a game in a while, to be honest with you. But anyway, sit back, relax, grab yourself something to eat, grab yourself something to drink, and let's look at the Geek Report for the weeks of February 23rd through March 9th of 2026.
Now, let's begin our Geek Report in our TV and movie segment. So, let's see what big news dropped in the past 2 weeks in the world of TV, movies, and anime.
So, starting off our Geek Report, we're going to start off in our movie and TV segment. And the first news article I want to talk about is the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. So, let me be absolutely clear on this. The Super Bowl trailer was horrendous, okay? It didn't do anything to build hype. It didn't do anything to really get people excited for this movie, okay? It made the same mistakes that honestly the Superman and Supergirl trailers have done and made the focus entirely on Grogu. Okay? Because he's cute, he, gets a lot of people to buy the merchandise, all that. Okay? But this trailer doesn't do that. Yes, there's those cute moments with Grogu, okay? But the majority of this trailer really does build hype for not just Grogu, but the Mandalorian. Okay? And this trailer is leaps and bounds better than what we saw at the Super Bowl. This is a trailer we should have gotten for the Super Bowl and perhaps even for the very first trailer. Okay? So, let's take a look at this trailer and I will give you some of my own thoughts and opinions on it. but this here is a trailer for the upcoming movie Star Wars: The Mandalorian and Grogu. Okay, the first thing I am noticing is they're trying to use this to kind of evoke feelings of being an X-Wing pilot. When the Mandalorian Grogu has nothing to do with being a starfighter pilot. Okay, but they're trying to get that sense of adventure back. This looks a lot like a scene you would see from Apocalypse Now. Okay, and I don't have a problem with them doing that. Okay, I really don't have a problem with them doing that. Okay, I mean, this looks like a scene, like, if you took out all the Star Wars stuff, this looks like a scene you would see in, like, the new Top Gun movie or something. Okay, I really don't have a problem with that because it does grab the viewer for the rest of the trailer. And there's Grogu, you know, he's being his mischievous, cute self.
Hey, never touch the buttons.
Right here, we get a good view of the Razor Crest, the new Razor Crest. As you know, in Season 2 of the Mandalorian Season 2 of the series, the Razor Crest was destroyed. Okay? And then he got a N1 starfighter. Okay? But it never really felt to me like that was going to be a permanent ship. Okay? It always felt like it was just a temporary ship until he got a new Razor Crest. Okay? So, I'm glad to see that the Razor Crest is back. And it does have that similar paint scheme that he had for his new starfighter, the N1. But it is good to see the Razor Crest back. Now, going back here, you'll notice that this does not look anything like the Mandalorian scenes that we've seen before. Okay? Before, on the Mandalorian TV show, we've seen places that look like a cross between super high tech and super western. Okay? But this looks nothing like that. So what I'm kind of suspecting here is that this is closer to the core governing body of the Republic. That we could be looking at Coruscant, Typhira, Nar Shaddaa, Corellia, any number of core worlds in the Star Wars universe. Okay? That's what I think we're seeing here. Is that we are not looking at the Outer Rim, where the Mandalorian has always kind of been. Okay? From seasons 1, 2, and 3, he's always been in the Outer Rim. Okay? I think now we're going more into the core worlds with this movie. That we're going to see how things have both stayed the same and changed with, you know, the passage of time and with the Republic taking over. And I know there are going to be people who are going to mention what happened in Season 3 when we were looking at those Imperials that were reformed or supposedly reformed. I think that could link to that. This could link to that, okay? I really do believe that this could perhaps link to that, okay? But yeah, I think that what we're seeing here is a look at some of the core worlds of the New Republic.
I can use some information.
Whoa, for this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a hut.
Close for the night. Thank you.
Gangsters. War criminals.
Now, this is something very important I want to mention. First off, remember those two troopers right there, because we're going to see them again. But this looks almost like a shadow council. Okay? Now, I'm assuming by this point that Thrawn has returned. Okay. And at the very least, he has reached out to whatever Imperials are left. Okay. So the question is, how does this Shadow Council fit in with Thrawn's plans? Okay. And they could either be with Thrawn, like Thrawn's going to take care of the Republic, and they're kind of backing him up. Okay, being the governing council while Thrawn deals with the Republic. Or they could be another faction of the Empire that's going against Thrawn. Okay, maybe they don't like Thrawn, whatever. You know, they could be like another Imperial faction that's going against Thrawn. Okay, because I think by this point, Ahsoka Season 1 has happened. And Thrawn has returned from basically exile. Okay, from the exile that Ezra Bridger sent him on. Okay, so is all what they're discussing is really all going to depend on whether or not Thrawn has reached out to the Empire or what's left of the Empire, or if not. Okay, and if he has, are they working with him? Is this Shadow Council we're seeing here kind of working with him? Or are they working against him? Just another faction in an organization that's been splintered. Okay, I think that is a real question we have to ask ourselves.
Long live the Empire.
Now, this is something important here, and I'm going to kind of backtrack. So, during the more recent invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq, okay, to help soldiers remember very important individuals, okay, they would print their faces onto playing cards. In Star Wars, like in the real world, there is gambling, and that's what I'm thinking is happening here. Is that the Republic is printing out these playing cards for all of its pilots and soldiers and whatnot. So while they're playing cards, or in this case, sabacc, they can just look at the card and they'll know a high value target when they see one. Okay.
We'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
Okay, now that's very important right there. Okay. Because I think that what's going on here is that at the end of season 3, Din Djarin basically made a deal with the Republic where basically he would keep an eye on things in the Outer Rim. Okay. I think that this is continuing on from season 3. Now, in season 3 of The Mandalorian, the Shadow Council was led by Moff Gideon. Now, we know he died in season 3, okay? No one, I don't care how strong you are, is going to stop a Star Destroyer from destroying you, okay? It's just that simple. A Star Destroyer basically crashed into him, okay? So, he's done, okay? We understand he's done. But I'm kind of wondering if perhaps Din Djarin didn't take back information to the Republic about this Shadow Council. You know, and perhaps maybe they're now hiring him to go find these people because they feel something is brewing in the Outer Rim. Like he had been saying for 2 freaking seasons. Okay.
Every bad guy in your deck of cards.
Now, this is important right here also. Remember earlier during the Shadow Council scene, I told you remember those stormtroopers? Look at the environment they're in. Look at the stormtroopers. Same exact type of stormtroopers. In this case, they're snow troopers. Same exact architecture we saw from earlier from the council scene. So I do think that this is happening during that council scene. Or maybe a little before it. Okay? So I do believe that that's what is going on. That this is happening either right around the time of the council scene or actually during it. Okay?
This isn't about revenge.
Now, here's Sigourney Weaver's character. We know that she's just some type of Republic official. I think she's more than that. I think she might be Republic intelligence. Okay, just the way she talks about stopping another war and all that. And I get the feeling that they're trying to pick up the slack because most of the Jedi are gone. I mean, you have Ahsoka, you have Luke, and you have maybe a couple of other Jedi throughout the universe who may or may not have started using their abilities again. Okay. And remember, at this point, Luke is still trying to build his school. Okay. So I think what she's trying to do is she's trying to make up for the Jedi with people like Din Djarin, maybe even spies and intelligence officers. So I'm starting to wonder if maybe she ain't Republic intelligence.
It's about preventing another war.
Strap in.
All right, this is a biggie for me, okay? And let me explain why. The first part of season 3 was all about Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, trying to redeem himself. Because at the end of season 2, he took off his helmet for Grogu, okay? He removed his helmet for Grogu. Season 3, the first part of it, was all about him trying to redeem himself because he removed his helmet for Grogu, okay? And he had to go through hell and high water to do it. He had to find the living waters of Mandalore. He had to get to Mandalore, be rescued by Bo-Katan, get to the living waters, bathe in the living waters, prove he had bathed in the living waters along with Bo-Katan, and then go back to his clan and prove it all. Okay? So, why are they doing this again? And in my mind, there's only one reason why they would be doing this again. Why they would be removing his helmet again. And later on, there will be another scene that kind of reinforces that. Okay? Actually, two. But what comes to my mind is that I think that they're telling us in a not so subtle way that the Mandalorian is going to die. Okay? Because I just don't see them redoing the whole redeeming myself in the living waters of Mandalore storyline again. Okay? I mean, I just don't see them doing it. Okay? I know that Bo-Katan and some of the Mandalorians now control Mandalore. Okay? That they took it from the Empire and Moff Gideon. I know that. But still, I just don't see them doing that storyline again. Okay? In a season 4. Okay? To be completely honest. I just don't see them doing that storyline again if they're going to do a season 4. So I do think that this is one piece of evidence that perhaps they are getting ready to kill off Din Djarin and the Mandalorian. The other piece of evidence is the Mandalorian was created by Jon Favreau. Okay? And for 2 seasons, he did an incredible job on the Mandalorian. But season 3 really felt like it was made by someone else. Okay. I think no matter how you look at it, he's tired of fighting an uphill battle against certain people. All right. And, I know that there's been some changes at Disney, and I'll talk about those over the summer. But I think he's tired of fighting. Okay. I think by the time he made this movie, he had made his mind up that he was leaving Star Wars. And I think that the best way he could leave Star Wars is by giving the character he created, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, a proper send-off. Okay? A heroic last stand or a heroic way of saving people. Okay? So that's another piece of evidence that kind of tells me that they're planning on either killing off Din Djarin or just ending the series here. ending his story with this movie in some way, shape, or form. Okay? Because I just don't see them doing a season 4 where they do the same storyline from season 3 where he has to redeem himself in the living waters of Mandalore. Okay? I just don't see it. And also, I think Jon Favreau is just tired of fighting an uphill battle. And when he finished filming this, he had decided to leave. Now, could that change? Yeah, of course it could change. But I think that this is really his goodbye song to Star Wars. I think he's tired of fighting an uphill battle. I think too many bridges have been burned with him and Lucasfilm at this point. And he's just ready to wash his hands of Star Wars.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
Before going into harm's way, check your armor.
Alright, that's another thing that I'm noticing in this, okay? That's another thing that I am really noticing in this movie. What I'm also noticing in this movie is that it seems like Grogu is going to be more action-oriented, okay? So I think that is something that will happen in this movie.
Way, check your armor. The kid will live centuries.
Now, I want y'all to listen to this next part very carefully, because this is kind of another clue that they are getting rid of the Mandalorian.
Beyond me. I won't always be around to protect him.
Did you hear what happened there? Did you hear what they said? You could hear the voice in the background basically saying, I won't always be there to protect the kid. He'll live centuries beyond me, and I won't always be there to protect him. And then there was this scene right here. This does not look like a Mandalorian. This looks like a Jedi meditating. Okay. So, I'm kind of wondering if maybe they're prepping us for the end of the Mandalorian, the death of Din Djarin, and perhaps for Grogu to go and start training with Master Luke. Now, he was given the opportunity to train with Master Luke in Season 3, and he chose not to do it. He chose to stay with the Mandalorian. But I'm kind of wondering if maybe after this adventure, after he sees Din Djarin gone, he doesn't go and start training with Master Luke somehow. If somehow Master Luke accepts him back into the Jedi Order, the Jedi training, whatever you want to call it, that he's building. This and what the voiceover said and what we saw earlier really does make me think that they are putting an end to Din Djarin. That this is going to be the last adventure of the Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, do I think they're going to kill off Grogu? No, of course not. Okay. But I do think that they're probably going to set it up some way where Grogu perhaps goes and begins training at the Jedi Temple that Luke Skywalker is building.
Be around to protect him.
Are you scared? You should be.
Do we run? Or do we fight?
I like this.
Now, this right here is something important I also want to talk about. So, this right here is Zeb. And we've seen him in Star Wars before. Okay? He was in Star Wars Rebels. And Rebels was a good show. But what's important about him being on this is this does link back to Rebels. Because in Rebels was when Thrawn was sent into exile by Ezra Bridger. Okay? When he was basically defeated by a young Jedi Knight. Okay? Now, you combine this with the Shadow Council scenes we saw earlier. And this kind of makes me wonder if that Thrawn is back. But the universe doesn't really know it yet. So, Thrawn's basically throwing the Shadow Council at the Republic's feet for them to be captured. So that way he could take over the rest of the Imperial forces. And we'll see the continuation of that in Ahsoka Season 2. Okay? That's what my thinking is with seeing Zeb here. Okay.
What are you waiting for?
And there we have the Mandalorian and Grogu. It's coming out on May 22nd. Let me give you some final thoughts on this. I think that this trailer was loads better than the last one. Okay. Let me just be honest with that. Okay. This is the first trailer we should have gotten, not the third. Okay. And I think it was a good trailer. Okay. It does kind of make me want to see this. Okay. Because of all the action and because of all the questions it's put forth. But after one okay trailer and another very bad trailer at the Super Bowl, is it too little too late? I don't know. Okay. Am I going to spend $100 to see this? No, I won't. Okay. I'll wait until it comes on streaming, to be honest. Because like I said, it costs me at least $100 to go a town over to watch a movie because I gotta pay for gas and food and stuff. Okay. Is it exciting? Does it look good? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel good enough for me to spend $100 to go to the next town over and watch it. Okay. And to be truthfully honest, I think at this point, they had their chance with the Super Bowl and they had their chance with the first trailer we saw a while back. Okay. And maybe that chance to really start building this hype, to really start getting people excited for this is gone. Okay. It looks like a good trailer, but I think with the fact that they didn't take the opportunity to build hype early on, and also just by the fact that people have gotten burned over and over again by Star Wars. I don't know. Maybe people are just tired of Star Wars. Or the current state of Star Wars. I don't think you could ever get tired of the original trilogy. I don't think you could ever get tired of the prequel trilogy or the Clone Wars or let's see, the Star Wars Rebels or Rogue One or any of that. But I think that with the newer stuff, people are tired of getting burned, and while the trailer looks good, in the back of their mind, they're still wondering, am I going to get burned again? Okay. But yeah, that was The Mandalorian and Grogu. It comes out May 22nd, which is right around May the 4th day, Star Wars Day on May the 4th. It's a good trailer. All right. And if I can find it coming closer to me, I would definitely go and watch it. That ain't going to happen. But I would definitely go and watch it if I could. But here's the thing, I just think that they've already missed an opportunity to build hype for this movie. And I think that people are kind of still got those two. Let me say the first one was an okay trailer, but the second one was a god-awful trailer. I think they still got those in the back of their mind. And while this does look like a good trailer, no, I think people are still going to think about the first two before they think about this one. And really say, no, I'm done. Okay? And I think people have been burned too many times by the people at Lucasfilm. And they're still waiting to see what new management is going to bring to the table. But that was the trailer for the Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. It comes out May 22nd to theaters. Does it get me getting hyped for a movie? No. Okay? Not enough to spend $100 to go see it. But if it comes to somewhere around here and maybe it costs me $10 or $15, yeah, I would definitely go and see it.
Continuing on with the news from TV, movies, and anime from the past 2 weeks.
So, continuing on with this Geek Reports movie and TV segment, we're going to talk about a new TV trailer that dropped these past few weeks. And I'm talking about the trailer for Lanterns. Now, this is supposed to be the introduction of the Green Lantern Corps in this new DC universe. We've already seen Superman and Supergirl. Now it's time for Green Lantern. And this show, we're actually getting two. We're getting Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know a whole lot about the Green Lanterns. I don't know a whole lot about the lore of them or anything. Okay. I know that basically in the DC universe, they are a police force, an intergalactic police force made up of both aliens and humans that basically goes about protecting and serving and keeping order throughout the galaxy. Okay. And that their power comes from special rings called power rings. Okay. Now then, with my basic knowledge of the Green Lanterns, okay, I was expecting something along the lines of a trailer that was going to focus on the Green Lantern Corps and their intergalactic adventures and introduce us to Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. What I got was something completely different. Okay. And really, I still don't know what to think of this. Okay. This is in my opinion, this is a terrible trailer. Okay. Honestly, this is just a terrible trailer. Because they're taking something like the Green Lanterns, which are meant to be an intergalactic police force, and they're trying to make it into some type of buddy cop or road travel TV show. Okay? And it's just so confusing because if you know anything about the Green Lantern Corps, okay, they would not act like this. Okay, honestly. Alright. But look, let's take a look at the trailer. And I'll give you some of my thoughts and opinions on it. But I'm just going to be honest with you. I did not like this trailer at all. Okay. But let's take a look at it and I'll let you know what I think about it. So first off, it is coming on HBO Max. Okay.
With all due respect, we've been training for what, 2 months?
Now, the first person you saw there is meant to be Jon Stewart.
2 months? And I haven't even...
And this here is meant to be Hal Jordan, okay? I think what they're going for is Jon Stewart is the young rookie, I guess you would call it, the young trainee, and Hal Jordan is meant to be like the older, experienced man trying to pass on his knowledge, okay?
Don't get hung up on the jewelry, Junior. You're just a fucking substitute teacher. You're not ready to get up in front of the class until the ring says you are.
All right.
I could have died.
You want me to train you? I'm training you.
Now, see, that's what I'm talking about, okay? This feels like they're taking the idea of the Green Lanterns, this intergalactic police force, okay? And they're trying to turn it into some buddy cop movie, okay? Or buddy cop TV series. All right? And in all honesty, I don't know what to think of that, okay? I really don't know what to think of it. And that's what makes this trailer so bad, is that it is so confusing. Okay.
Something is off here. I can feel it.
This is my town. You're a big shot. Noted. But stay the fuck out of my way.
Think she hates your guts.
It's the way she hates them.
This is a stupid plan.
Not that stupid.
That I don't doubt.
Green Lantern.
Now, this right here is meant to be the Green Lantern uniform, I guess. I mean, it's so dark, you know? Green Lantern was meant to be a mixture of light and dark. But this is just so dark, okay, and boring. And really, I'm not getting excited about anything I'm seeing on here, okay?
Oath is to protect people. And we both know I do a better job of this than you.
This is my job. As long as I'm alive, that ain't changing. So take a deep breath, Junior.
You're old. You're tired.
That right there is probably the coolest thing about this trailer is when he jumps up and flies. Okay? I'm not saying that's cool. Okay? I really ain't. But where's the other stuff? Okay, where's him manifesting like stuff he needs to fight off evil? Alright? I mean, this trailer is just so confusing and boring, in my opinion. Okay? That right there is the power battery for the lantern ring. So every power ring has a battery, okay? And you have to say the Green Lantern Oath to charge your ring, okay? Because eventually your power ring will run out of power. It looks pretty cool, okay? It definitely looks alien or, very sci-fi, okay? So, they did a good job on that.
Your time is up.
I don't understand. Who are you exactly?
Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
And there's the logo for the DC Studios Lanterns. So, as you can see at the bottom, it is coming out in August. This trailer was extremely boring, okay? And very, very disappointing. Okay, there was so much more they could have done with this trailer. And it honestly worries me about the show in general. This trailer honestly does not make me want to watch this show at all. Okay? I literally don't know what to think of this. Okay? I literally don't know what to think of what I'm seeing here. Okay? Because I know of the Green Lanterns and I have just a basic knowledge of the Green Lanterns. And that they're this interstellar police force that goes around and keeps law and order throughout the universe. But then you see this trailer and it almost feels like a buddy cop type of TV show. And it doesn't have that Green Lantern feel to it. Were there some cool moments to it? The power battery is one cool moment. Hal Jordan flying off was another cool moment. But the rest of it just felt boring and uninspired. Okay? Like they really didn't know what they wanted to do with it. Okay? But yeah, that was the trailer for Lanterns. It's a TV show that's going to come on HBO Max this August. I mean, really, there was nothing in this that made me want to go out and get HBO Max for Lanterns. Okay? So hopefully the next trailer will be a whole lot better and will really show us what the show is going to be about. But if this is the best they got for the show, then this show is going to be a colossal failure.
Continuing on with the news from TV, movies, and anime from the past 2 weeks.
So I'm going to end this segment of the Geek Report on a bad note. Now, you may have heard of him, maybe you've even seen him, but Bruce Campbell is one of those actors in Hollywood that just loves acting. whether you saw him play Ash Williams in Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, Ash versus the Evil Dead, whether you saw him playing as a former Navy SEAL in Burn Notice. Heck, maybe you even remember him playing a small role in Doctor Strange. Bruce Campbell is one of these actors who has a huge fan following and basically respects the fans and loves the fans. Okay? He's not one of these people who takes his fans for granted. This past week, it was revealed that Bruce Campbell, and he revealed it, that he has cancer. And this is from his Twitter account. And it says here, "Hi folks, these days when someone is having a health issue, it's referred to as an opportunity. So let's go with that. I'm having one of those. It's also called a type of cancer that's treatable, not curable. I apologize if that's a shock. It was to me too." So basically, they can stop the symptoms, they can alleviate the symptoms, but they can never make the disease go away. Continuing on, it says, "The good news is I'm not going to go into any more detail. I'm posting this because professionally a few things will have to change. Appearances and cons and work in general need to take a back seat to my treatment," which I completely understand. Okay. "My plan is to get as well as possible I can over the summer so that I can tour with my new movie Ernie and Emma this fall." Okay. Continuing on, it says, "There are several cons this summer that I have to cancel. Big regrets on my part. Treatment needs and professional obligations don't always go hand in hand. That's about it. I'm not trying to elicit sympathy or advice. I just want to get ahead of this information in case false information gets out, which it will. Fear not, I'm a tough old SOB, and I have great support, so I expect to be around for a while. As always, you're the greatest fans in the world, and I hope to see you soon. Much love, Bruce Campbell." You know, it seems like cancer has begun to get really, really bad. Okay. Especially where I'm living from. Okay. And it seems like every other day I'm hearing about someone getting cancer or perhaps having cancer. And it sucks that Bruce Campbell has cancer. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. It sucks. All right. But the way he's handling it now, okay, calling it an opportunity, and all that stuff, and just sitting there saying, "You know what, I'm not going to let this thing beat me," is completely awesome. Okay. And if he needs time to get himself together to do his treatments and everything, I'm all for that. Okay. But I think we really need to start asking the question, why are so many people getting cancer? Okay. And not just from one part of America or one part of the world, but it seems like it's all over the place. And I think as I look at this, as I look at his tweet or X or whatever they're going to call it, I think it's time we start asking the question, why are so many people coming down with cancer? Not only people who have a history of the disease, but people who don't have a history of the disease. And I think it's time we start really looking into this. And hopefully, this X as well as others will maybe make people start looking into why cancer is becoming so prolific. But it sucks that Bruce Campbell has cancer. But by all accounts, he's going to fight it. Because at the end of the day, he is a fighter. Okay? Even the characters he portrays on both the big and small screen are fighters. Okay? And, as a fan to him, you take all the time you need and know that we have your back, Bruce, and we always will.
Now let's move on from the world of TV and movies to the world of anime. So let's take a look at the anime news that piqued my interest these past 2 weeks.
Now, moving on from our movie and TV segment, we now go into the world of anime. And a little while back, a series came on that I truly and thoroughly enjoyed called Gate, thus the JSDF fought there. And the basic premise around this anime was that a portal opened up in the modern world that led to a world filled with magic, monsters, something along the lines of medieval times filled with wizards and elves and that sort of thing. Okay? Well, after a couple of years, it's finally getting a sequel called Gate 2. Now, what's really important about this is that this season of Gate that's coming out, and it's supposed to be coming out in 2027, that we're going to find out later on in the trailer, is not going to focus on the JSDF Army, but the Navy. Okay? Which kind of opens up, like, how did they get a Navy ship into this world when all they had was maybe a portal that could roll tanks through and stuff like that? Okay? I mean, it really does kind of open up how did they get a ship here. Okay? So, on top of all that, it also, is going to have new characters, and it's going to deviate from the original series in that it's not going to focus on the Army, it's going to focus on the Navy and the high seas and all that. Okay? So, let's take a look at this new trailer that just came out. But I do have to warn you, it is in Japanese. So we'll try and kind of discern what they're saying here. But the date is obvious. Okay, 2027, next year, we're getting a new season of Gate 2. Right now, they're calling it Gate 2 Tides of Conflict. Okay. But anyway, let's check out the trailer, and I'll give you some of my thoughts and opinions on it. Now, right there, you see the original portal. Okay? This was the original portal that opened up into the modern world that led into this world filled with elves and dragons and magic and all that. Okay? Okay, this right here I think is important because this here is a modern submarine, okay? And the reason I think this is important is because I think this new season of Gate 2 will focus on the crew of a modern submarine. But what I said earlier still stands. How did they get a modern submarine into this world? Okay, I mean, the gate ain't like a huge gate. Okay, it can maybe allow for cars to go through, tanks to go through. But how would you get something as large as a submarine into this world unless it was brought in? Okay, unless something happened that allowed it to come into this world. I mean, the other thing that comes to mind is perhaps they brought it in piece by piece and they assembled it in the medieval world. And what we're seeing is its maiden voyage as it goes out and makes contact with some of the other governments in this medieval world. Okay? That's really the only other thing I can really think of. But still, I mean, how would a submarine get into this medieval world? Unless it was built there and they just brought the parts in through the gate. Or something transpired that suddenly transported this submarine into this medieval world. Okay, which is all entirely possible. And there you have the date, 2027. Now, something that you may have noticed in this is that we did not see any of the original characters. We did not see Rory. We did not see Lele. We did not see Itami. I mean, we did not see any of the original characters. That is kind of concerning because it has to link back to the original series. Okay? I mean, if this is going to be part of the Gate TV series, okay, it's got to link back to the original series somehow, some way. Okay? You know, I mean, you just can't introduce new characters without having some type of connection to the original characters. And I hope there is some type of connection to the original characters. Okay? Especially Itami. You know, Itami was with the JSDF. The story revolved around him and all that. And I really do hope that there is some type of connection between these crew members, this story, and the original story. Okay? Because if you just drop it in, you know, and say, oh, this is new characters in this same world, then it just feels like there's something missing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it feels like people are going to be asking, where's Rory Mercury at? Where's Elena? Where's Itami? Where's Kobayashi? All them, you know? And I know they're the Army side of things, and this is focusing on the Navy, and that's definitely where it should focus on. But it still needs to connect to the original characters, to the original story somehow. Okay? Now, another thing I found out about this is that it says that several years after the original Gate opened is when this series is to be taking place. Now, the original series premiered in 2015 and continued on into 2016. So, are we going by that? Are we going by 9-10 years of the Gate being open? Or is it going to be longer? Okay. Another thing is, how did they get a huge submarine, what looks to be a huge submarine, through the gate? Because the gate ain't a huge gate. It's just like maybe the size of a street to allow tanks and vehicles through. Maybe even planes if you like reassemble them on the other side. So how did a huge submarine get into this medieval world? Okay. I mean, one thing is they could have somehow transported it there, you know, using some type of magic or something. That maybe when the gate opened, it brought some things with it. Or they found a city in the original series that was part of the ocean, and they just basically brought the parts in and assembled this huge submarine inside this medieval world. Okay. So I hope that is a question that will be answered before the premiere. But yeah, that was the trailer for Gate 2. They're calling it Gate Tides of Conflict. I have concerns about it, okay? But overall, it looks to be a good series. I just hope that it does connect to the old series somehow, because if not, you're going to be losing a lot of people who remember the old series and suddenly have to get acquainted with all new characters and all that stuff. They definitely need to connect it with the old series, and not just through the world, but actually through characters, okay? So that way, old fans won't feel disconnected, but at the same time, it'll bring in new fans who want a jumping on point for the Gate verse, lore, whatever you want to call it.
Now moving on, let's move on to this episode's video game segment. So, let's see what news dropped in the past 2 weeks in the world of video games.
Now, moving on from our anime news, we've got one news story that revolves around gaming. And this news story kind of goes back into anime. One of my favorite anime to watch has always been Sword Art Online. I mean, it don't matter if it's the Death Game arc, if it's the Alphine Online arc, it don't matter if it's Mother's Rosario, Excalibur, the War for the Underworld arc. I absolutely love Sword Art Online. It is one of my favorite anime, okay? I love the love story between Kirito and Asuna, what they all went through, just all of it. I just love Sword Art Online. The Mother's Rosario arc of Sword Art Online to this day will tear my heart to shreds. Okay? The Mother's Rosario arc of Sword Art Online to me is almost as bad as Old Yeller. Okay? The ending to that arc is almost as bad as Old Yeller. Okay? It's kind of like the Old Yeller of anime. Alright? And like any good anime, there have been games made about Sword Art Online. Whether you're talking about Hollow Fragment, Lost Song, Fatal Bullet, Alkazation Licorice, these were all games that allowed you to live in this world of Sword Art Online. Whether you're talking about Aincrad, the original Sword Art Online arc, whether you're talking about Alpine Online, or even the Gun Gale Online that came later on. These games allowed you to live in this world of Sword Art Online. Well, now we're getting a new Sword Art Online game called Echoes of Aincrad. Just based off the title, this is going back to Aincrad, the original Sword Art Online world that all the players were trapped in. So, we're going to take a look at the trailer, and I'm going to give you some of my own thoughts and opinions on it. But this here is the trailer for the upcoming game, Echoes of Aincrad, Sword Art Online.
Aincrad is in danger. Equilibrium will be lost.
Okay, the first thing I'm kind of noticing is that it's not using the same art style as the anime, okay? Which ain't a bad thing, okay? I was just hoping that it would have that same art style as the original anime, but that's okay, okay? It may have been like a technical thing, where it couldn't use the original art style. Alright? So far, that's the first thing that's kind of jumping out at me, is that it's not the original art style from the anime, that this is going to be its own art style in the game.
The resurrection of the god of death grows near.
Attention players,
Now, this is extremely familiar to me right here. This here is extremely familiar to me. Now, if you've never seen Sword Art Online, in the very first episode, all the players are brought back to the ground floor of this dungeon type structure. And they meet the creator, Akihiko Kaiba. He basically tells them that this is not just any game, this is a death game. That if you die in the game, the VR headset that you put on your head will fry your brain. Okay? And this is the scene that happened in. Okay? Just like this. Art style is a little bit different because this is a game and that was an anime, but this is exactly how it happened. Okay? Akihiko Kaiba, the creator of Sword Art Online, gets everyone back into this open market area and basically tells them, if you die in the game, you're going to die in real life.
welcome you to my world.
Destroy the core of life and save this world, for if not, death will come for us all.
Alright, something I'm noticing is that it looks like it has the same gameplay as maybe Dark Souls or something along those lines. Dark Souls or Bloodborne, Elden Ring, something like that. So we could possibly be looking at a cross between Sword Art Online and Elden Ring and Dark Souls. Okay, which I'm all for. Okay. No, nothing against that at all, okay? Another thing that I'm noticing, okay, and this is kind of just jumping out at me, and I'm going to find it here, is if you look at this gear, I'm not seeing any of the gear that the original characters had on them, okay? I mean, this all looks to be original gear, original swords, shields, all that. So I'm kind of wondering if they are going to have some of the swords and shields that we saw in the anime come back, or if everything's just going to be original. That is a question that I kind of want answered, because I think it would be kind of cool if you could have Kirito's jacket, if you could have his sword, if you could have Asuna's sword, all that. I think that would be kind of cool if they did that.
Will come for us all.
Alright, the dungeon bosses look completely incredible. I mean, they look just insanely incredible, and I bet they're going to be incredibly hard, too.
Together. Right.
I'm not gonna let you get away with this.
Okay, so it is coming out on July 10th, 2026. You can pre-order it now. This game looks dope. I'm just going to be honest with you. The more I saw this trailer, the more I got the feelings that it was linked in the Sword Art Online world. Looks like something from Zelda, but it's probably going to play like something from Elden Ring. Okay, this looks completely beautiful and dope. Okay, and I absolutely love it. I do have a few questions though. Like, are we going to be able to like earn like some of the swords and stuff that we saw from the original anime? Are the original voice actors coming back for the video game? Okay, are we going to hear Asuna and Kirito? Are we going to hear Alice and Sinon? Are we going to hear those characters coming back? All right. I think it would be cool if they had events where that happened. All right. But I also think it would be kind of cool if they did it like off the jump, like brought them back for the game. But if they had like events where you had to help Kirito complete a task or a quest, or if you had to help Asuna complete a quest or something, I think that would be cool too. And finally, I think the bosses look incredible. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, is this going to be an MMO RPG, or is this just going to be like a straightforward story RPG? But I get the feeling that this is probably going to be somewhere in between, like Elden Ring, okay? Where you can follow a story and then later on just keep on exploring, okay? Now, this is the pre-order bonuses you get for pre-ordering it now. I mean, you get, like, the Ultimate Edition, which has the base game, the expansion packs, which has armor. You get a wall scroll, stickers. If you notice, the Ultimate Edition, the picture there makes it look like Asuna and Kirito. Okay, which is kind of interesting, to say the least. And as you can see here, it's coming out July 10th, 2026. This is a good date. Okay, I'll just be honest with you. This is a good date. The reason why this is such a good date is because the original anime premiered on July 27th, 2013. Okay. And there are also several instances of July playing a huge part in Sword Art Online. I mean, the War of the Underworld in Alicization, Sword Art Online Alicization, started on July 7th. Okay. So, July 10th, the month of July, holds a little bit of significance in the world of Sword Art Online. But on top of that, it's right in the middle of summer. They don't have to worry about any huge games coming out. Okay, because Grand Theft Auto 6 doesn't come out till November. The next Call of Duty, what they're calling Modern Warfare 4, won't come out until November either. And it gives people enough time to play it and check it out before the next big game comes out. But like I said before, this game looks absolutely beautiful. It looks incredible. It looks like a cross between Sword Art Online, Elden Ring, and Legend of Zelda. Okay. Now, if I have a PS5, this will definitely be on my list. Okay, and this is from someone who doesn't play a whole lot of the RPG type of games, especially the Elden Ring type of games. Okay. But this has got my attention because I am a huge Sword Art Online fan. And if I had PS5, I would definitely play it. Or at least keep my eye open for it. Now, with that being said, would I pre-order it? No. Because I'm kind of leery of pre-orders at this moment. But still, if I had PS5, this would definitely be something I would keep my eye open for the summer months. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was your Geek Report for the weeks of February the 23rd through March 9th of 2026. To kind of recap what we talked about, we first started off in our movie and TV segment. And the first thing we talked about was the new Mandaloran Grogu trailer. And I told you overall what I thought about it and why it was loads better than the Super Bowl trailer. Then we talked about the new trailer for Lanterns, the DC TV series that's going to focus on Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. I'm not a huge Lantern guy. I've never been a huge fan of Green Lantern. I know of Hal Jordan and I know of Jon Stewart from the cartoon shows, but that's about it. But this trailer was very confusing for me, and I told you why that is and what I thought about it. Then we end our movie and TV segment on a kind of sour note in that Bruce Campbell has cancer. And this truly sucks because he is such a great actor and he's always been good to the fans, and it just kind of sucks, you know. And I kind of talked to you about this for a few minutes. Then we moved on into our anime segment, and I talked to y'all about Gate 2 Tides of Conflict, the sequel to the original Gate that came out in 2015 and 2016. I told y'all what I thought about it, some of my issues with it, and overall what I think about this anime. And then we ended the Geek Report with something from our gaming news, and that is that Sword Art Online, one of my favorite anime, is getting a new game called Echoes of Aincrad. I told you why I'm so hyped for this trailer, some of my issues for this trailer and the game, but also what I'm seeing from this game and why it's got me so excited. But anyway, that was your Geek Report for the weeks of February 23rd through March 9th of 2026. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys are staying safe, staying well, staying healthy. Check out some of my other videos as well as my social media over on YouTube, Rumble, and on X. And I will see you guys in the next video and in the next stream. Laters.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this episode of the Geek Report. I hope you enjoyed it. If you got a moment, please check out my other video sites as well as my social media and give them a like and follow. I will see you all in the next video and the next stream. Laters.